Cowboys get the Packers this weekend. They're a mess right now. They've lost 5 in a row, and Aaron Rodgers is not playing well. They're incredibly banged up right now. In fact, the news this morning from Jeremy Fowler, initial belief is that the Packers pass rusher Rashawn Gary has suffered a torn ACL. He's undergoing an MRI to determine the full scope of the injury. If confirmed, the injury would end his season. Rashawn Gary has 6 sacks on the year. Team's holding out hope, but looks like no Rashawn Gary. Aaron Jones got hurt yesterday. Eric Stokes, the corner. You had Romeo Dobbs got hurt, their receiver. I mean, they are just banged up. Bakhtiari left the game at one point. Just a team that's not playing very well, and now they're having the injuries stack up, and they've already got... This is my belief. I won't say this on behalf of you. You can chime in if you want on this. I think Aaron Rodgers is checked out.
I think there's no doubt
He looks
about
like a checked out player.
He is a petulant child, man. He's a 3-year-old whose mom said, no, you can't have that extra cookie.
He wants that cookie, though.
All he does is throw tantrums. Not Brady tantrums, but it's just like these little, oh my God. Oh, how can you not catch that?
Which we put up with that. Honestly, we put up with that for Brady, or not put up with it. People are annoyed by it, but you kind of put up with it because it's like, okay, the guy has 7 titles. Like, why is this put up with Aaron Rodgers, who has 1 title and has not won in a decade? Why do people let him do this?
Why do people still think Sean Payton's this great coach? He's got 1 title and he hasn't won in a decade. I mean, it's the same reason, right? Because you get enamored with talent.
I think people give a lot more credence to Rodgers though than they do Payton. Even.
No, yeah, you're right. I'm just messing. Because the talent's there. And it's always been there.
So what's the issue now? Is the talent just falling apart, or is he has the motivation from them selecting Jordan Love worn off?
He's getting old, right? I don't think the motivation from Love is worn off. He won back-to-back MVPs. He's getting old. The talent around him isn't as good as it once was. He's making bad decisions.
Yeah, and unusually bad decisions. First time in his career yesterday, he throws 2 red zone interceptions in a game. You know who is in favor of? I know you sent this over earlier. You're annoyed with the spoiled Packers fans who want to bench Aaron Rodgers for Jordan Love. Yeah, you know who's in favor of that? Your boy Lil Weezy. Lil Wayne yesterday was saying, knew we should have moved on from 12 this offseason.
Lil Wayne's my boy. Is that what we were saying?
You're the hip hop expert at the station, right?
He's the one guy I never got.
He sucks.
I never got it.
And the fan text is going to scream it out because every time I say he's not good, they lose their mind.
Your mentions are going to blow up.
I love hip hop. Like I'm a real hip hop head. I don't think Lil Wayne is very good. I never have.
I never got him. I never got into it. He was not my.
And he thinks they should have moved on from Aaron Rodgers. You with Lil Wayne on that?
No, you shouldn't. I wouldn't have moved on from Aaron Rodgers. No. He's back-to-back MVP. I'm not going to move on from him.
Here's some of the tweets going out there yesterday from Packers fans. What do we have to see to get Jordan Love in the game? Just wondering. Jordan Love can throw 3 picks and underthrow receivers for a lot less money. Okay, but seriously, how much worse could Jordan Love be? Y'all slow down. Is that the most spoiled fan base at the quarterback position in the NFL? Packers? Nobody's had a run like that.
This is
30 years.
It's 30 years. No, I don't think there's a better run in the NFL. I don't think we've seen one. We had Montana to Young. Okay, that was strong. Really good.
And you can say Jeff Garcia too.
Yep. And you had Manning to Andrew Luck.
Yes, for like 3 years.
That was strong. It could have been better.
But you're forgetting before Brett Favre, Don Majkowski.
Are we saying
the
that
Packers quarterback? I mean,
saying that's good?
Yep, sure.
Okay,
it's a great name.
Yeah, it is. It is. No, but nobody's had a better 30-year run of quarterbacking. Cowboys are a good run. Run with that.
Yes, Cowboys have had that's a stronger run than most teams run into.
That is one of the 10. As one of the 10, but one of the better runs there is.
Which is why it always perplexed me, by the way, that they were willing to try and play hardball in the contract negotiations. Like, did y'all forget 2000 to 2006? Like what that was like.
That was awful.
That didn't even. That was 6 years that felt like 12.
That wasn't even football.
No, it was horrible.
Awful. I don't know how they made the playoffs that one year with Quincy. I still to this day have no idea how that team made the postseason. Yeah.
It's so funny hearing everybody reflect on the Emmitt Smith record anniversary last week. And you're having to mention in there like it's getting mentioned in part like, oh yeah, that was also Chad Hutchinson's first start. And it's like,
yeah.
What a way to just tarnish the end of that. honestly, like, it was a stupid quote, but, like, when you think about some of those quarterbacks, you kind of get the diamond surrounded by trash comments.
Yep, you do. You understand it.
He wasn't really a diamond anymore.
No, he wasn't.
But definitely surrounded by trash.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
There's no doubt he was. You are getting a little bit roasted for your Lil Wayne.
I knew I would. I'm not even going to look at the fan text because they all lose their minds. Oh! Yeah, I'm sure 808's in there. 808 loves to complain at me for my my takes on Lil Wayne.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Lil Wayne fan. I don't get him, but, like, you know, my hip hop taste is unmatched in general. So
yeah, although you know what, Sean was saying that you were a little bit of a letdown with your playlist driving from the airport to Oxnard. That he was expecting some like raging hip hop list, and
well, that's because he doesn't know what hip hop. I like a lot of trap music. I don't think Sean's into that. Sean wanted Tupac and Biggie,
and
okay?
you're in the trap.
And I still think Tupac and Biggie are the goats, but I've moved on.
You just want some Gucci Mane.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, Gucci. I don't want to get lost down the Gucci Mane sidetrack either because he's terrible as well. You know what? One of the funny things that we haven't mentioned here about the Packers though is that there's also this growing frustration. As much as the frustration's been there with Aaron Rodgers lately, and the fact that they didn't make a trade at the deadline, which I still don't understand why. Like, give up.
They've never given him any help anyway.
Unless you just think this is not a team that can get it done.
They've never given him any help anyway. They've spent his entire career just Jordy was a 2, right? That was it, or was
right?
That was basically it.
Yeah, I mean they drafted.
They gave him Jordy and Devontae, and then he had. Did he have Donald Driver there for a year? Or was he
had Donald Driver for a little bit. Who did they drafted? Did he have Javon Walker, or did Javon Walker?
That was with Favre. Remember, because Favre was
and then he went to Denver right at the end. That's right. Which, by the way, for all the problems, like I saw some people go like, "Man, I feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. They didn't help him out." Aaron Rodgers put himself in this position. His little flirtation with retirement and everything else is part of what drove Devontae Adams out of there. Devontae Adams, by the way, who looks like he's about ready to just, push somebody down outside a tunnel in Las Vegas right now, because he's incredibly frustrated after the performance he put up yesterday, and they blow another 17-point lead. But on the front of where they're frustrated with the quarterback, there's also a lot of frustration with this defense right now. ESPN last week had a story where an unnamed source within the locker room said there's a declining confidence in the defensive scheme and what's being called, and it's led to overall frustration with the defense, and another source confirmed that sentiment. So they're a mess, and I wonder at what point Aaron Rodgers starts letting that frustration bleed over to my coach isn't good enough, which he's got a history of doing.
Oh, you think he's coach killer? Yeah,
I think he's going to start. He has a long history of pointing the finger outwardly, and one of the easiest places to do it is towards his coach. He hasn't been able to do that with Matt LaFleur the first couple years because they've had success.
13 games every year.
I bet you that starts really soon.
Well, then Matt LaFleur should clap right back.
He should,
and he should say, "Well,
if you're telling me if I'm in that organization, you tell me it comes down to Aaron Rodgers or Matt LaFleur, bye, Aaron. You're near the end anyway. Matt LaFleur has shown that he's a good coach. At this point, you're talking about Matt LaFleur there for the next few years, or Aaron Rodgers for one more year, given his moodiness.
Is it just one more year?
You'd never know how many years it's going to be with Aaron because of how moody he is.
I mean, I am always going to side with the quarterback. I'm keeping the quarterback over the coach if the quarterback's remotely good. That said, yeah, he is 38 and he'll be 30. I mean, I think usually what happens is you turn 39 after that, and that's very old. And if he doesn't want to be there anymore, then let him go. But, I wouldn't make a decision on like, oh my God, I've got to get rid of one of them. If Aaron wants out, if I could sign Aaron to an extension, then I'd rather have Aaron than the coach.
Ooh, I don't know. Not with the way he's been playing and how finicky he can be with his emotions.
He's so finicky, man. He is such a... there's no wonder this dude's personal life's a mess.
He needs to take some Tom Brady tips. Just dump whatever girlfriend he's running with right now. And
I think that's the reason why they got divorced, because Giselle wasn't getting nothing. Tom Brady.
Need some Blue Chew.
Plus 250 on Odell Beckham Jr. joining the Dallas Cowboys right now. That is the best odds for Odell Beckham Jr. to join a team. Now, Mike, I know I didn't really get a chance to hear you and Kevin break this down during the conversation. I had maybe one segment with Choppy about this, and the rest of it's just kind of been like, a lot of speculation. But over this weekend, Calvin Watkins tweeted out that Odell Beckham Jr. and the Cowboys, and Ian Rappaport even said this too, he's firmly on the Cowboys' radar. this is a fan base, an 877-881-1053. Correct me if I'm wrong. A Cowboys fan base right now that is, whenever you hear the Cowboys are in on a player, you're like, yeah, whatever. It just seems like and Bobby said this morning, the Cowboys are in on this player if he's at their price. And that's pretty much it. Like, the Cowboys will go, they have a number in mind. The guy's gonna say, hey, I want this much. And the Cowboys, more than anything, it seems like they don't even like come back with an answer. They're like, no, never mind. We'll just move on. We're fine with turpentine. We're okay there.
Well,
do you have a feeling either way on whether you really think the Cowboys are pursuing this player?
I think they're watching him and seeing how his rehab's going, probably keeping in touch with his agent to see how close he is to really, I don't want to say having a tryout, but you'd have to see that he can run and do everything he needs to do to play at a high level. But that being said, will the Cowboys outbid all the other teams? Watching last night's game, I think Kansas City should look at him if he's completely healthy. I think that I don't know if Green Bay will, because they might be out of it and they might not want to do it.
I agree.
But Odell Beckham might be in Green Bay situation. What if they offered him a 2-year contract? I don't think the Cowboys have any interest at all in offering Odell Beckham more than a play out the rest of the season contract. So all it will take is one team that maybe believes in him more for the future to offer him, hey, we know that you might not be great this year, but we believe in you longer term. We want to offer you a 1.5-year contract if you're willing to do that. And maybe Odell Beckham doesn't want to do that at all. Maybe he just wants to play the final 4 games of the regular season, be on a playoff team, and show that he can still really get it done and sign a new contract in the offseason. I don't know what Odell Beckham and his agent want, but I think the Cowboys will be in on this. And I get the odds because Jerry Jones and we've heard that they're in on him. They're interested.
Yes.
But the Cowboys have never really been big in bringing older players to the Dallas Cowboys. It just feels like it has to be a major discount, right? Yeah. We're discount shopping. We're looking for the sale. I just wonder if Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be on sale.
Yeah, and why would you put yourself on sale whenever you know lots of teams are going to need a player like you in the playoffs? This is more than anything else. This isn't to help the Cowboys get better playoff positioning. And for anybody, and Mike, I know you guys, you and Kevin have kind of been involved in this part of the conversation too. At this point, for people that are like, yeah, but he's not going to be ready till December. I'm not signing him for the regular season. My team's going to make the playoffs. Can I make an addition late in the season that nobody was really even expecting me to make to my team to make them better? And that's what it is for me. And it goes back to the very beginning of the season in Oxnard, whenever we asked Stephen Jones, Kevin asked, hey, you traded Amari Cooper, you made these moves, what are you going to do with that money? And he was like, well, listen. And he gave this long explanation about just getting through camp. Okay. The next day, or the next question I had for him was, well, if you have a place that you need to invest, where do you think it's going to be? And he said, veteran wide receiver. We absolutely can see ourselves using that money wisely to spend it on that. If they still have it available, it seems like it would be a decision they made a long time ago, but they couldn't sign the player because of his body. His body wasn't in shape to get out there. So here's some other names, Mike, to go on that list. Okay. The Bills. Do the Bills need to make that type of addition right now? I don't know, because it seems like they have all their offensive weapons are pretty good. Diggs, really good. Gabe Davis looks even better. Dawson Knox is a good tight end they just signed. Yeah. They just add Himes. I know they didn't use him as much as I thought that they would. They just added Himes to this mix.
Well, no, I don't think so. And this is a matter of, what does Odell Beckham...
You think he wants to play in Buffalo?
Well, I'm sure nobody wants to play in Buffalo. I've been there. It's freezing ass cold. But
Marshawn Lynch got off the airplane and said, I saw all this snow. I didn't know anything about snow.
Does he want to play for the team that has the best chance to win it all?
He wants to play for a contender for sure. Yes.
Right. And I'm just wondering how much he won a ring last year in a weird way, right? He got hurt in the Super Bowl, but he was on that team. He got a championship ring. Does he want to go, Buffalo, because I would agree with him. I know they lost to the Jets yesterday, but I'd look at it and go, I think Buffalo has the best chance to win it all. And I just want to be on the team that has the best chance to win it all. And I'll be definitely a number 3 option there, if not possibly number 4. Or do I want to go to a Dallas Cowboy team who's a contender, who I do believe the Cowboys have a chance to win it all this year, but they're not a favorite to win it all. Most likely the Cowboys are going to have to go on the road for 3 playoff games in the NFC, win all 3 of those road games to then play in the Super Bowl. I think the Cowboys can do it, but probably the odds are would be very tough to go to Tampa Bay, then most likely to Philadelphia, then go, let's say, to Minnesota, and then go to the Super Bowl. So I'm just wondering how much he wants to manipulate his situation and go, hey, does Philadelphia want a number 3 wide receiver? I'll go to Philadelphia, be their number 3 because they might have a bye. They look like they have a better or easier road to the Super Bowl.
Somebody said, guys, don't forget Dak either have great chemistry or zero chemistry. I don't think he will be with OBJ. I don't know. I don't know how to look at that. I know this. This is a guy that last year in the playoffs, 4 catches on 4 targets for 54 yards and a touchdown in game 1 of the playoffs. Game 2, 6 catches on 8 targets, no touchdown, 70 yards. In the NFC Championship game, 9 catches on 11 targets for 113 yards. And he had a touchdown in the Super Bowl and 52 yards. He looked like he was on his way to being the MVP of that until he hurt himself. This is a guy that I think in the playoffs can be a game breaker for you, if not a very reliable source of this. And Mike, I think that they are very interested in it. I think it's very real that they are interested. But I'm with you too. It is a price where you're like, okay, Mickey told us this morning, there are three factors. How long is it going to be until he's ready? Again, my thing is, if he's an addition for the playoffs, I'll wait until he's ready. Number 2, how much does he want? That's going to be a huge factor. And then number 3, where's your locker room? Mike, this is a locker room that in my mind, I have no doubt that this is a locker room that can handle this. There are some locker rooms that can't. You can't add a player and then them be like, oh, that guy. A lot of times, Mike, we've had this discussion. Derek had this discussion with us last week. Whenever you add a guy, you have to look at it and go, he's here to help us win, and that's all I want. As opposed to, he's here blocking me from getting my playing time, or he's doing this or that. You're looking at a player and saying he's here to help you win. Another team that is involved in this, the New York Giants. Would he be willing to go back to they're plus 450. They're the 3rd team.
Is the ownership gone? Is it changed ownership?
Same ownership.
I don't think he'll go back there.
The Green Bay Packers, I think they've played there, and this might even help us out, Mike, more, in that some teams could just play themselves out of the category altogether by not being a team that's contending. Yeah,
and that's where I think that he probably doesn't look at Green Bay anymore as an option. Maybe he'd look at Green Bay as an option in the offseason if he feels like they're kind of rebuilt. Minnesota doesn't make a lot of sense after trading for TJ Hawkinson. I know did he have 7 or 9 catches yesterday? Yeah. And then obviously they have Justin Jefferson, who's arguably the best wide receiver in the game. Thielen, who's a really good wide receiver. So I just wonder in Minnesota.
And Osborne, who's pretty good too.
What his role would be there. I mean, I do think the Cowboys have a really legitimate chance at getting him. It's just a matter of, if the Cowboys, I don't know how much this means to Odell Beckham Jr., and usually it means a lot. If the Cowboys offer him $2 million to play the rest of this season, because I think he's only going to play in 4 games.
Okay.
And then playoffs.
Yeah.
And somebody offers him $3.5 million.
Will the
that
Cowboys
is $1.5 million. You know, like, I don't know. Now, if it's $2 million to $2.5 million, $500,000 is a lot of money, but would he go, nope, I'm good there? Because the one thing that I feel like, you give me your opinion on this, the Cowboys will not bid the most money on Odell Beckham Jr. Somebody will offer him more money.
Somebody did point this out, and I did see this interview from the 806. He said in the Complex interview, the next team is where he wants to build a home and stay. He has family here.
Okay.
No one wants to build a home in Green Bay or Buffalo. That's valid.
That's true.
That is very valid. And he had his whole family growing up in this area. He was in Louisiana, but they were all Cowboys fans.
I just don't think the Cowboys want him next year.
Everybody wants to live here, Mike. every athlete wants to retire.
They really want to live probably in California if they have enough money.
Yeah.
But I would just look at it, Odell Beckham Jr., if I'm his agent, and I go, okay, let's just say you possibly want to live in Dallas-Fort Worth for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Do the Dallas Cowboys want you in 2023?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Do.
Especially since they have the CeeDee Lamb coming up. They made a call for Brandon Cooks. They made a call for Jerry Jeudy. We do know that the Cowboys know and feel like they have to add a wide receiver, that James Washington isn't it, Mike.
Right. But Jeudy has, I think he's honestly a bust, to be honest. But he probably does have 8 to 10 more years in the NFL. That's what the Cowboys like doing. The Cowboys don't like taking a dude who has multiple lower half injuries.
Yeah.
Give him a long-term contract when you're not even sure how much he has left.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying it's a good idea or a bad idea, but if I'm Odell Beckham Jr. and I'm his agent, I don't think the Cowboys want you more than we want you for the rest of the regular season when you're able to play, and then for the playoffs. And then I think that they look at Tolbert and say, we really want him to be our future number 3. And then what if the draft plays out that with let's just hope it's the 32nd pick. Let's just say the Cowboys win it all. That might change everything. If Odell Beckham Jr. was part of the team that won it all in Dallas, that they would probably sign him back. But what if the Cowboys are picking 24th overall? Like they lose in the divisional round. They win the wild card round. They lose to Philadelphia in the divisional round, and the Cowboys have the 24th pick, and a good wide receiver is there. And you take a wide receiver with your first pick. Now you have CeeDee Lamb, who you're probably about to pay $20+ million a year to. We know you have Gallup that is under a long-term contract. You take a first-round receiver. You're going to sign Odell Beckham to a nice 3-year, $21 million deal because you feel like he's going to retire here and everything?
What we need to figure out then, and a lot of people are saying, hey, imagine how good Lamb would be if you had a real number 1 wide receiver out there. What we need to hope is all the other teams that are in contention play themselves out of contention, all right, for one, and that everybody offers him the end-of-the-year deals instead of multi-year contracts. Like that's essentially what you can't offer him a multi-year contract and hope that and like you're saying, and it's going to work out. I don't know if it'll work out for you either. You have to hope that he can play the final part of this season for you, and the Cowboys can get something sweet out of that.
Who is your top team in the NFL, and what does the rest of your top 5 look like? General at your service at East. There's Lucius Alexander in the Pimp Cup at Master Control coming off of a glorious LA Live. Wolchuk and Chiafalo. Carter Freeman is coordinating your video at 105thethefan.com, Twitch, and YouTube. Yeah, Bills are now a 2-loss team. The Jets and Dolphins are 6-3. The Ravens, Titans, Chargers are 5-3. Of course, the Chiefs, they struggled against the Titans for a lot of the game last night, forced OT with a 2-point conversion. Then they get the win. The Titans were 5-2. They're very tough to beat right now as well. The Eagles are undefeated, but their only quality wins are the Vikings and Cowboys with Cooper Rush. Is it the Eagles that are the number 1?
Oof.
The Vikings are 7-1, but they get no consideration. They get no consideration for me. Giants 6-2, Seahawks 6-3. Niners might be the best team by the time we get to January, but right now they're 4-4 and just can't get it figured out, not healthy enough. So at 877-881-1053, we will give you Mavs what to watch for in tonight's Nets game here in just a few minutes. But I want to hear from you. Who is your top team in the NFL right now, and what's your top 5 look like? Wolchuk?
Oh, this is tough. Oh, this is so hard, man. Now, people are going to be like, well, they should have lost this game, blah, 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 boobity-boobity-boobity. I'm still taking the Kansas City Chiefs as the number 1 team in the league. They did find a way to win last night. I think the Tennessee Titans have proven to be, at least in the regular season, a kryptonite type of team for them. Just their style of play. They always play stout defensively, at least they have under Vrabel, Derrick Henry. They're just a tough matchup, and it's going to be a tough matchup. We'll talk about it down the line when the Cowboys have to play them.
They're hard to beat.
They are. So the good teams find a way to get it done, and the Chiefs found a way to get it done. They didn't have their A game, yet they still won the football game. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. To be honest with you, I think it's still between them or the Bills. And I know the Bills still took the L to the Jets. We'll see the health with Josh Allen. Obviously, if the elbow injury is serious with Allen, then you're going to drop them.
They're out of the top 10.
But I still think they're the top 2 teams in the NFL. I'm not going to overreact to one loss to the Jets.
Yeah, no, the only thing that has me concerned about the Bills right now, it's not the loss to the Jets. It's, yes, what's the status of the throwing elbow that got banged up from Josh Allen yesterday? And until I know more, I'm still going to keep Buffalo in my top 3. I'm going to have them at 2. I'll have the Chiefs at 1. Pat Mahomes and those guys, I still feel like, I think last night you're talking about a game where the Titans have kind of had the Chiefs number over the years, and they talked about it on the broadcast last night of like styles make fights, and that's just a team that it's like oil and water here. You like if you're the Chiefs, that stylistically is not a team you want to have to play. But they still found a way to get it done. And in the first half, Derrick Henry ran all over them. The second half, they completely shut him down. So to me, I'm encouraged if I'm a Chiefs fan moving forward because that's the type of game that is a difficult game for you to win. Yeah. You found a way to do it. So I still like the Chiefs, and then I'd go Bills, then I'd go Eagles. And then to me, I'm just thinking about right now, if these teams were playing, who would I think would win? And I'd be picking the Niners to beat almost any team right now. So I would still have the Niners at 4.
Wow.
And then I would go, let's see, what's my fifth? Oh, it's the Cowboys, right? Yeah,
yeah.
The Cowboys.
Cowboys would be
Cowboys
5.
At 5. Yeah.
Cowboys at 5 with half as many losses as the Niners. That's a lot of respect for San Francisco, but look at them on paper. I hear you. 940 says Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, Vikings, Niners.
Okay.
I think there's 2 interesting things. Are you willing to put Kansas City ahead of Buffalo, even though Buffalo beat them 3 weeks ago? And are you putting the Eagles at the top? But I think the first 3 should be Eagles, Chiefs, Bills.
Yes, it's just what order do you want to put them in? And yeah. I'm not going to knock anybody that wants to put the Eagles 1. I'm going to go Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, and then I would go Cowboys. And I still would go Niners at 5 because I agree. I would take the Niners to beat the Vikings. And I would probably be very scared to play the Niners.
Yes, I would be as well. I mean, you got a few other teams for consideration in there, like Miami. Yep. Do they deserve to be there? Could Cincinnati by the end of the year? They had a nice bounce back win. They're going to get Jamar Chase back here in a month or so. By the way, Patrick Mahomes, first player in Super Bowl era to record at least 400 yards, a touchdown through the air, 60 yards, and a touchdown on the ground in the same game, dude. He was in MVP mode last night, and that was an incredible show that he put on. I'm going to put the Chiefs in there. I am. Okay, here we go, GBag Nation. Before we get to some basketball chatter for you, if the playoffs started today, I saw Marcus Mosier make a note of this on Twitter. If the playoffs started today, the Cowboys would be taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in round 1 and going to Tampa because they would win the division, right?
Yeah.
How scared are you? This is like a litmus test type of situation here this week against Green Bay. Like, do the Packers really own you? Do they have your number? Or is it just that they've had the better team and you've had no defense? And then with Tampa Bay, they beat you last year. They beat you this year. And I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel about it. I would be nervous that you would lose to a team worse than you. That's the way I would feel if you had to go face the Buccaneers in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, it's just the Tom Brady factor. That's really what it is. And in a one-game sample, anything can happen. And Tom Brady at home is a scary sight. I don't need to know anything else about the team. That's a scary sight. Though this would be the most beatable playoff Tom Brady team we've seen probably in an extremely long time. But going into Tom Brady's house to take him down in the playoffs is something that would make any football fan queasy AF.
It's just bizarre because outside of week 1, the Bucs can't run the ball. The only team they ran the ball against was the Cowboys.
They really can't score in general.
It's just weird to go back and look at what happened in that first game, and you would have to still be a little bit nervous about it. Right? Because it's Tom Brady, and yet they still prove that they could run the ball on you.
Right.
They haven't run the football against anybody else, but they did run the football against you.
I believe Dan Quinn would have solutions. I absolutely do. And I think they're different. They've had even more injuries. 214, though. Do you really want to face Tom Brady in the playoffs? Hell no. No, I want to play the Vikings. I want to play the Seahawks. I want to play the Falcons. I want to play the Giants. I mean, the list goes on. It's pretty much every team.
We need to hope Marcus Mariota in the Falcons win that division.
Yeah.
Would you rather go to, and I don't know that, I guess it could still happen, even though the Seahawks are leading that division right now. The Niners could still end up winning that division. Would you rather go to Tampa and take on Brady or to San Francisco?
No, you want to avoid the Niners at all costs. That's the team you don't want to play.
That's that stylistically matchup that you want to
avoid. 100%. I would agree with that.
Who can run the ball better between those two? It's an easy answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And the Niners defense.
I mean, we're
is more
putting the
legit.
Niners record-wise shouldn't be anywhere near the top 5 in power rankings, but we're still giving them that respect.
Okay, Kenny and Quinlan chiming in. Number 1 Chiefs, 2 Bills, 3 Niners, 4 Eagles, and 5 Cowboys. Yeah, I do think the Niners played a lot of average football last year. They were 2 games below 500 with like 5 weeks to go, and they're an interesting team. I think they earned respect in the playoffs, but if we get down the road another month or so and they haven't become a team building momentum, maybe they won't even be a playoff team. But I hear you.
You're just betting on, hey, the addition of McCaffrey, them getting healthy. We have our own Micah Parsons, but Nick Bosa's second in the DPOY conversation, and there's a good reason for it. They've been banged up defensively, and they're still a top 5 defense in a lot of these metrics.
And they haven't had Trent Williams.
Yeah, exactly. They get Trent Williams coming back, and just historically, Shanahan and Garoppolo do a ton of winning. So even if it's a little bit ugly and they win 17 to 13 or something, they just find ways to win, man.